Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome His Excellency Si Hasak Pungget Kao, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Thailand. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to have a warm welcome to His Excellency Si Hasak Pungget Kao, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Thailand. Welcome, Your Excellency. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the closing plenary of the ASEAN for the People's Conference 2025. Can I have a big round of applause for our closing plenary session? Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, over the past 2 days, this conference has been filled with energy, passion, and of course, purpose. We have witnessed inspiring discussions, heartfelt aspirations, and of course, powerful exchanges of ideas. And more than 8,000 participants and 120 civil society organizations from all across Southeast Asia have come together here at AFPC 2025, which is a true reflection of the spirit of a people-centered ASEAN. And yesterday, we heard the voices of the people. And today, we are honored to bring those voices face to face with leadership. Therefore, in this very special moment, the closing plenary session will feature a very special keynote, which will be delivered by His Excellency Si Hasak Pungget Kao, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Thailand. And to officially open this special occasion and of course this great session, it is my privilege to invite onto the stage the founder and chairman of Foreign Policy Community of Indonesia, Dr. Dino Pati Jalal. Please give a round of applause.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am very pleased to introduce our last keynote speaker. He is a seasoned diplomat, 40 years of experience, diplomatic experience, a good friend of FPCI. Pak Si Hasak was educated at Chulalongkorn University, International Relations, and then Johns Hopkins. And then he joined the Foreign Ministry and rose to the ranks. He was ambassador to France, ambassador to Japan. You are permanent delegate to OECD. You had so many distinguished assignments, the last being the permanent secretary of your foreign ministry. But above all, you're a good friend of Indonesia, you're a good friend of Pak Marty and myself, and you have graced us at FPCI with your friendship and wisdom. We are very grateful that you are able to come to this ASEAN for the People's Conference, which in our view is a historic moment for ASEAN because this is the first time the civil societies of ASEAN meet at in a scale that reflects the people-centered community that we are trying to build. So we are very grateful, Pak Sihasak, for your presence, and we look forward to what you have to say, and we will take questions if we have time after Pak Sihasak's remarks. Yeah. So please welcome Pak Sihasak Phuantketkeow, Foreign Minister of Thailand, to deliver his remarks. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Pak Dino, for that very kind introduction. You know, you came to see me in New York a few days ago when I was there for the UNGA, and you're coming to see me, taking the time to see me and extend the invitation. I could not say no. So I'm here. Thank you. And to be very frank, this is not the first time I'm attending your meeting, and every time I come, I'm amazed by the number of people attending, and I really hope that in Thailand, we're able to stir the interests of young people like you have been able to do so in foreign policy, because sometimes for the young people, foreign policy seems very distant, And so I'm very happy to be here and also to meet my old friend, Pak Mati, and his dear wife, whom reflects the very best of Indonesia and Thailand. Thank you. Well, of course, I want to begin by congratulating Pak Dino and his foreign policy community of Indonesia for this very important and timely event. I think it's important because over the past 2 days, you've covered a wide range of issues and brought together many voices and ideas on how to make ASEAN work for its people. For my part, I will share a few reflections on ASEAN's journey, the challenges before us, and how we can move forward together. It's also timely, this conference, because in a few weeks from now, our leaders will be meeting at the ASEAN Summit in Kuala Lumpur. Obviously, ASEAN has come a long way since its founding 6 decades ago. Now we are a community of 10 members, and pretty soon we'll be admitting Timor-Leste as our 11th member. So the ASEAN family is expanding and getting stronger. Now, we've seen immense progress, definitely, in terms of ties between countries in the region, and the range of cooperation that we have been able to achieve, political cooperation, trade, connectivity, and now we have very extensive cooperation in areas that matter to the people: education, health, cultural exchanges, which brings our people closer together. Now, we have to admit that the journey has not been easy, but I think this is a term that has been used by Pak Mati. We've gone through transformative change, And I think we've weathered many challenges indeed. We've had our hard times, difficult times, but we've overcome those challenges because we held on to one another. We learned that our nations are stronger when our region stands together. And by working in unity, we become greater than the sums of our parts. I think that's very true. The spirit of solidarity has allowed ASEAN to transform Southeast Asia from a region once divided by conflict into one defined by stability and cooperation. Now, but today the picture is more complex. Too often, national interest takes precedent over regional ones. Added to this, geopolitical rivalry increasingly pushes states to take sides, dividing rather than uniting us. Around the world, instability is on the rise. Trade wars, economic uncertainties, to the growing impacts of climate change and widening inequality. These global shifts inevitably affect our region, touching the daily lives of our people and testing our resilience. I think one point that I really want to emphasize is that closer to home, we face situations of tension and conflict that remind us that peace, once achieved, must never be taken for granted. Unresolved disputes and domestic fragilities continue to challenge the stability of the region. These realities test not only the capacity of our governments to respond, but also the confidence of our peoples in ASEAN's ability to deliver. So people often ask, and I hear this very often, is ASEAN still relevant? How must ASEAN evolve to meet the demands of a new era? I think the answer is clear. ASEAN is here to stay, definitely, but ASEAN must adapt with the changing times. Now, to remain relevant, our peoples need an ASEAN that is strong, resilient, and fit for purpose. An ASEAN that does not only preserve peace and stability among nations, but deliver tangible benefits to the daily lives of its citizens. To echo the theme of this conference, the main question we must ask ourselves is this: how do we create an ASEAN that is truly for the people, as is the theme of this conference? In other words, how can ASEAN make a real difference in the lives of citizens? How can the people of ASEAN have a greater say in shaping policies and in turning the ASEAN Vision 2045 into tangible outcomes? To me, the answer lies in three priorities. Let me start with the first: sustaining peace and security in our region. Peace and security should not be understood only as the absence of conflicts, but also through the broader lens of human security. True peace endures only when people feel safe, have secure livelihoods, and can look to the future with confidence. Freedom from fear and freedom from want are the pillars of lasting peace, because when people have access to food, health, education, and opportunity, societies become more stable and our region more secure. At the same time, we must be mindful of the broader environment in which ASEAN operates. Around the world, multilateralism is under strain, and geopolitical, geo-economic rivalries are deepening. These global tensions inevitably shape our region and affect the well-being of our peoples. Today, peace and security also depend on how well we respond to non-traditional threats that directly affect people's lives. Challenges such as cybercrime, human trafficking, online scams pose real risks to our citizens and cannot be solved by any country alone. They demand collective solutions, and ASEAN must step up its cooperation in these areas. As we confront these evolving threats and navigate the shifting environment, including challenges within ASEAN, I think ASEAN should be willing to reflect on some of its long-standing principles, not to change their essence, but to consider how they can be applied more effectively in today's context. Take the principle of consensus, for example. It has long been the foundation of ASEAN decision-making. But does it always have to be complete unanimity? The need for unanimity has often delayed timely action when needed. Perhaps it is time to consider more flexible approaches, such as the Troika or enhancing the role of the chair in addressing emergency situations. This would allow ASEAN to act more nimbly, timely, while still preserving our unity. Now, or consider the principle of non-interference. It has continued to be a bedrock principle, and for good reason. Yet, in today's interconnected world, internal issues often have regional implications. Given the fact that we are so interdependent in the region, we must apply the principle in the context of today's reality. The situation in Myanmar is a clear example. Non-interference should not prevent ASEAN from extending humanitarian assistance or facilitating dialogue in times of crisis. Rather, it should be interpreted in a way that enables constructive engagement that serves our collective interests. On Myanmar, I would like to add that we wish to see, and I think this is the goal of all of ASEAN member states, we wish to see a peaceful, stable, and unified Myanmar. We note the plan of the government in Naypyidaw to organize election at the end of the year. In our view, election is not an end in itself. It must be part and parcel of a broader peace process. Ultimately, lasting peace must come from dialogue and reconciliation, but it must be the decision of the Myanmar people themselves. But if the opportunity arises, Thailand, as a friend and neighbor, stands ready to facilitate peace talks among all parties. And if I may add a human perspective on peace and security in our region, disputes must not be exploited for domestic political gains. We all know from the Thai-Cambodia situation that it is the ordinary citizens, especially those living along the borders, who suffer the most when disputes escalate. Ironically, they are the ones who often live together most peacefully with deep ties of kinship, culture, and trade crossing the border every day. That is why we must approach such disputes with wisdom and restraint, focusing on dialogue and people-to-people cooperation. It is in the interest of our two peoples and our youth who hold the future for our countries to choose dialogue and peace. We hope the Cambodian side will join us in this pursuit for the alternative. The alternative would only bring further conflicts and losses for both sides. Looking beyond our region, ASEAN must also recognize its growing responsibility in an increasingly divided world. We often say that one of our greatest strengths is our convening power. And Pat Mati has always underscored the convening power of ASEAN, which brings together countries in our own region and most major powers to the table. But in today's reality, we must go beyond convening power. We must get real. We must get real. We have always stressed that ASEAN-led mechanisms, such as the East Asia Summit, the ASEAN Regional Forum, are pillars of regional security. But in reality, have we been up to the task? That's the question that we have to really ask. Have we been up to the task? For this to be a truly ASEAN-led mechanism, ASEAN must remain firmly in the driver's seat, setting the agenda, addressing the right issues, and engaging all the major powers in constructive dialogue that leads to actions for the benefit of our region. So if ASEAN can continue to uphold peace and security in all that its dimensions, while adapting our principles to today's reality, resolving disputes with the people's well-being at the center, then we will strengthen both regional stability and the trust of our citizens. To make ASEAN responsive to the people it serves, peace must be matched with sustainable prosperity. This brings me to the second priority, advancing economic development that is both sustainable and inclusive. For decades, ASEAN, Southeast Asia has been one of the most dynamic engines of growth in the world. Our economies and trade have expanded, and millions have been lifted out of poverty. But we must also recognize that unsustainable growth will not last. That is why economic progress and environmental protection must reinforce one another. Our people want job opportunities and rising incomes, but they also want clean air, safe water, and a future for their children that is not threatened by climate change. To achieve this, ASEAN must redouble its effort to implement regional framework on the circular economy and carbon neutrality. This means investing in climate resilience infrastructure, in renewable energy, in green industries, and sustainable agriculture and fisheries that preserve the natural wealth on which so many of our peoples depend. At the same time, we must build resilience into our development model. The increasing severity of natural disaster seen across the region remind us that disaster risk reduction and disaster response are no longer optional. We must also step up collective climate action and protect biodiversity, which provides livelihoods for millions of our people. What is equally important is harnessing the opportunities of the digital age. Digital tools must be made accessible to everyone, including grassroots communities, the local MSMEs. Initiatives as the ASEAN Digital Economy Framework Agreement should be accelerated alongside regional efforts to shape responsible governance of AI. This way, technology becomes a driver of inclusion, not a source of division. But all this, we cannot do them alone. This will require active efforts together. ASEAN can build an economy that is competitive, sustainable, and fair, creating a region that grows stronger without leaving its people or its planet behind. Ladies and gentlemen, even sustainable growth will fall short if our peoples feel excluded from the process by way of participation. That is why the third priority must be to advance a people-centered and the people's participation in ASEAN. Indeed, that is the challenge before us. The ASEAN Community Vision 2045 speaks of a people-centered ASEAN and affirms our commitment to place ASEAN peoples at the heart of the community building process and ensure their meaningful participation. In practice, I believe this concept has two important implications. First, the work of ASEAN must be broad and inclusive. At the heart of a people-centered ASEAN is the recognition that prosperity alone is not enough. Dignity, rights, and the well-being of peoples must be safeguarded. In this regard, the ASEAN Intergovernmental Commission on Human Rights, or AICHA, has played an important role as ASEAN's overarching human rights body. But to meet today's challenges, AICHA must be further strengthened, not only its capacity to promote, but also its mandate to protect. A stronger AICHA would give ASEAN the tools to respond more effectively when rights are at risk. Protecting the people must go hand in hand with empowering our peoples. This means giving the youth and women greater opportunities, ensuring that older generations can age actively, and expanding access to quality education, skill training, and health security. Social safety nets must also be developed so that ASEAN's progress does not leave anyone behind. Second, for ASEAN to remain truly people-centered, citizens must have the opportunities to engage more often and more meaningfully in ASEAN's agenda and processes. We need mechanisms that give civil society, youth, local communities a stronger voice in shaping regional cooperation, very much that what you're doing here right now at this conference. Platforms such as the ASEAN Civil Society Conference, the ASEAN People's Forum, and indeed this very ASEAN for the People's Conference are a good example of how we can bridge the gap between policy making and having the voices of our peoples heard and heeded. To this end, ASEAN should encourage platforms that serve as safe spaces for expressing diverse views, where citizens can feed their voices into the development of ASEAN across all three pillars. Such spaces build trust and allow the people to feel that ASEAN belongs to them. At the same time, ASEAN entities should also expand and deepen their engagement with a broader range of stakeholders, from private sector to academia, think tanks, and community leaders. Each has a role to play in ensuring ASEAN policies are better informed, more inclusive, and more responsive to the needs of our people. I believe that ASEAN cannot move forward without listening to and working with its people. By building these partnerships, ASEAN can create a wider ecosystem of trust and cooperation that supports ASEAN priorities and strategic goals in the ASEAN Community Vision 2045. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues, as we look ahead, the future of ASEAN will not be written by governments alone. It will be shaped by all of us, If ASEAN is to be truly for the people, then we must work together. Governments must listen more. Civil society must continue to bring ideas and energy. Communities must find strength in our diversity. And young people must feel that ASEAN is theirs to shape. My call to action today is simple. Let us make ASEAN matter in people's daily lives. This conference gives us a good momentum, but we must not only talk the talk, we must walk the walk as well, turning dialogue into concrete actions and vision into reality. If we can do this, ASEAN will become not only a community of nations, but a genuine community of peoples. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณครับ
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And we kindly request for you to please remain on stage. For next, we will soon begin our special session, which is the heart-to-heart dialogue. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, we thank His Excellency Sihasak Pungketgao for the wonderful and, of course, insightful address that we just heard. And of course, this has also become a reminder for each and every one of us that ASEAN's strength lies not only in the cooperation between the governments, but also in the active participation of our peoples, where of course collaboration, working together, understanding, and of course a shared purpose truly brings forward what truly means to ASEAN. And we truly and deeply appreciate the continued commitment to fostering dialogue and empowering our communities all across ASEAN. And of course, in doing so, we hope to create an ASEAN that is truly for the people. Once again, let's give a round of applause for His Excellency, Si Hasak Punggetgao. And without further ado, to begin this heart-to-heart dialogue, please welcome once again Dr. Dino Patijalal.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Kun Siasak, and we are now ready to take some questions. But that was really important statements that you made, and for students of international relations, there were a lot of important points that was made about Myanmar and also the Thai-Cambodia conflict disputes, and also on ASEAN. So I hope you took note of those very important points. I now would like to, and by the way, I would like to welcome a couple of guests here that, aside from Pak Marty, I see Pita. Please stand up, Pita. Yeah. Yes. And also Anies Baswedan. Please stand up, Anies Baswedan. Yes. Good. Can you invite the questions from the audience? Yeah, please. Can you stand up and yeah, introduce yourself? Microphone's not working.
Hello. Hello. Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for that wonderful message. So, my name is Pia Rodrigo from the Philippines. I'm from Action for Economic Reform. So, we're a think tank that works on making sure that equitable and progressive fiscal reforms, especially tax reforms, are passed and implemented in the Philippines. So my question revolves around today's political climate, not just back at home, but across the world. Citizens are demanding leaders to truly represent them. In the Philippines, it's in the budget process that's currently happening, and we're becoming more and more empowered. So my question is, as an ASEAN leader, what do you think civil society groups can do, or what role the civil society play in making ASEAN more visible and relatable to the people that ASEAN serves? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I forgot to mention Kun Pita. I didn't see him because the light was very strong. But I think if you look around the world, there is a big frustration among the people with the establishment. Politicians seem to be out of sync with what the people want. And so we have, what we see in the United States, and we also witness it in many countries also. So this is, I think, how can, the role of civil society really help to bring, what the feelings of those at the grassroots, the interests of the people to the government. But I think it's also important that we have to see this as not being adversaries. Sometimes the relationship is one of very adversarial. Eventually, I think we have to think of working together, civil society working together with governments, governments working together with civil society. Because sometimes governments are insensitive, we say, and there's no space. That's the problem. But sometimes also, what is being advocated by civil society is simply, not practicable. So I think there is a need for real dialogue, where we bring civil society into the space of policy making, and at the same time, civil society also understand that everything has its certain limitations. And if that is the case, I think we can produce some results. But that's my feeling, because sometimes we communicate, but we speak in opposite direction. So we all have a responsibility to the peoples to improve their lives, to get things done, and to respond to what the people want. So that's my answer to your question.
Thank you. The second question, and by the way, Pak Sihasak, I hope you don't mind me wearing my propaganda hat.
Do you have
I'm learning it from President Trump,
I
obviously.
see.
So,
You should have one for me also.
will do for sure. Yes, please.
Hello.
Oh, by the way, also I want to introduce Datuk Sri Samsul, who is the political advisor to the Prime Minister of Malaysia, Anwar Ibrahim. And also not least, I want to introduce my mother, who's here. Can you stand up, Mom? Yeah. Okay. All right. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello. I am Manik Margana Mahendra. I am from the Indonesian Youth Council for Tactical Changes. Our organization focused on meaningful youth participation, especially in policymaking process. So I noticed earlier that you took time to walk around the CSO exhibition, right? And then I think you saw many youth-led organizations are showcasing their work. Across ASEAN, young people are already collaborating beyond national borders through social innovation, digital advocacy, public health resilience, climate action, even politics and democracy. They are not waiting for permission to lead. They are already shaping the region's narrative. So given this reality, what can ASEAN do to truly walk the walk in building a stronger ecosystem that enable these young change makers to thrive, not just as future leaders, but present actors? Because there will be no future if we fail this now generation. Thank you.
First, it's a great delight to see your mother again, because I know that she was the one who funded your documentary on Aceh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Young people, I guess times have changed. You know, sometimes, like, you know, in my country, we see young people, you know, not just willing to be on the sideline. They want to make a difference, and you know that happens, you know, whether in the business. My son, you know, he's from being in government, he decided to go into the private sector because the private sector, he believes, provides the opportunity for him to make a difference, right? And in politics as well, in my country, you know, before we had a certain kind of divide. You know, we call it the red and yellow shirt. Now we have, you know, a different kind of divide. The older establishment and the young generation, as reflected by Kun Pita here. You know, so I think that, you know, we see the young people now restless, and they want to do something, right? And you are organizing it yourself among, you know, at the level of citizens. I look at the exhibition, these are all young people, right? Because you have to drive. You have, you know, a broader outlook. You have this commitment to society. And so I think this is a trend that, you know, we'd like to see more of that, whether in civil society. Civil society, you have a lot of young people now, right? In private sector, in, you know, in these startups, young people. They're driving change, they're driving progress. And in politics as well, you know, pretty soon people of my generation will be gone. We'll have the younger generations assuming responsible positions in government. So I think the trend is there. And so I'm fully supportive, and it's incumbent upon us to really open up the space for the participation of young people in our economy, in our politics, in our civil society. Thank you.
Thank you. Last question. Somebody from Thailand. Yes.
Hello, my name is Mangpor. I'm from 30 by 30 Thailand Coalition. We are a citizen-led movement supporting the biodiversity conservation area. Our coalition includes 200 entities, including the community, academics, and civil society organizations. My question is, looking ahead to ASEAN 2045, what is one aspiration you have for how civil society and governments can work hand in hand to create a truly people-centered region?
Yes, I was very much involved. I've been involved in ASEAN much of my career, 40 years. I was involved when we did the ASEAN Charter. I was involved when we did the blueprint, the first one, 2025. And we have this reputation of ASEAN people, a people-centered ASEAN. And I'm not sure whether all of us understand what is a people-centered ASEAN, because that's the reality of diversity in ASEAN. Some may say a people-centered ASEAN is to raise awareness of ASEAN among the people, the young people, that we are citizens of our country and all citizens of ASEAN. But for me, it's about government doing things that matter to the people. That's very important. Issues that improve the lives, the livelihood of people. And so education, health, these must be high on the agenda of ASEAN. So that's, for me, an expression of people-centered ASEAN. But the challenge for us now is how can the people participate in ASEAN? They can participate by way of these conferences, by way of civil society. We have the ASEAN People's Forum before the ASEAN Summit. But then we have a problem because the practice at one time was having the representatives of civil society talking, interacting with the leaders, expressing the views of civil society. But some of the leaders were not comfortable with that. They wanted to choose which civil society they could interact with. But we really have to broaden the space for civil society. And the only way the way that you can make your views matter is to have, to bring it up to those in position of decision making. And I hope that, as we get along, we can raise the comfort level, we can widen the space for civil society to interact with with governments, with track one. Otherwise, we'll be doing our thing and going separate ways. And so I think that's the challenge before us, how to enhance and widen the participation of the people's representative in the ASEAN processes and decision-making process. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think, Kun Siasak, that's one of the conclusions that we have reached from this conference is that people-centered ASEAN community sounds amazing, but it's a lot more complicated than that once you actually try to make it happen. So kudos for you for acknowledging that. And also, actually, if you don't mind, I have one academic question that a lot of my students ask me, because you're from Thailand. We are always amazed that Thailand is the only country in Southeast Asia that has never been colonized, right? And in students, in classrooms, we discuss that, and I'm asked, how is that so? And my answer is that it's because that's what foreign policy, that's the result of foreign policy. Yeah. Can you explain, as a Thai, how did that happen? What explains Thai being the only country in Southeast Asia that has never been colonized?
Well, it takes a lot of agile foreign policy, Sure. And when you have competition among major powers, colonial powers, as we always say, we develop a certain sense of agency.
Yes.
But whether we're wise enough to recognize that agency is another matter, right? But I think in the case of Thailand, to be very frank, it was due to the vision of our monarchs at that time. You know, our monarchs at that time, especially King Rama IV and V, understood the trend outside of Thailand, and they saw how the winds, you know, we say bamboo diplomacy, but how the winds were blowing. And, you know, and it's not just about bending to the wish of the major powers, but making sure that we had strength of our own to withstand the pressure from the major powers. And that meant that we had to reform our country, we had to appear to be civilized, we had to improve our education system. Our kings, the monarchs sent their children abroad for education. Our monarchs went abroad, went to Europe, went to Russia, went to many places to put Thailand on the map, and that Thailand was a civilized country. You know, so I think it's a combination of factors, but I attribute much of our success in maintaining our independence to the vision and the wisdom of our monarchs at that time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that reinforced a point that FPCI always tries to make, that foreign policy determines not just the strength and fate of a country, but also the survival of our nation. So having a good foreign policy is very critical for our nation building. So let's give a big hand to Sihasak, who has come all the way from Bangkok to address the ASEAN People's Conference. Thank you very much. Sihasak has told me he wants to listen to a little bit to Pak Panji, so you better be funny, Pak Panji. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Give a round of applause once again, ladies and gentlemen. And gentlemen, Your Excellency, Pak Dino, please remain on stage. We kindly request for you to please remain on stage because we'd like to take a moment to hand over and present a token of appreciation, a little gift from the FPCI team to His Excellency Sihasak Punggekgao, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Thailand. Thank you, Your Excellency. Please give a round of applause once again. And may we take a moment to take a picture for our documentation team and of course the media. We invite you to please take a picture. Ready with your cameras? 3, 2, 1. Once again, 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much. Please give a round of applause once again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Your Excellency, for your insights and of course the valuable discussion that we just had. And thank you, Pak Dino, for leading us in the heart-to-heart dialogue that we just had in our closing plenary session. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, once again, as mentioned before, here at AFPC 2025, it is for the people, and the power of ASEAN lies in each and every one of us, the people of ASEAN. So once again, can I have a big round of applause for everyone here? The people of ASEAN, the youth of ASEAN, and of course, the future of ASEAN. And now, as mentioned before by Pak Dino, we heard a very special name for our next session. Someone, no pressure, who is here to make us laugh. Can I hear the name of our next speaker or our next session? Louder. Okay, can you see him in the audience or somewhere in the room? All right, then if you can see him, can I ask you to call his name loud and clear onto the stage in 3, 2, 1. So without further ado, CEO of Komika, Panji Pragiwaksono.
Okay, relax everybody. I'm just a comedian. I see there's mixed reaction amongst the audience. People up front are looking at me like, who is this guy? A lot of guys in the back, I know this guy, but what is he doing here? My name is Panji. I am a stand-up comedian. I'm an Indonesian stand-up comedian. I moved to New York 3 years ago, and now I'm based in New York City. Now, not successful yet, you guys, so hold on for the applause. It's a struggle. Life is different. And so a lot of Indonesian, while being here in Indonesia, thinks that Indonesia is the greatest country. I can see it in your face. But when I moved to New York, nobody knows Indonesia. They know Bali, but they have no idea where or what Indonesia is. So when I do stand-up in New York, I have to explain to them about Indonesia using American context, right? I have to explain to them about Indonesia using their reference, American reference, American context. And so this is how I explain about Indonesia to people in New York. I'm like, my name is Panji, I'm from Indonesia. If you don't know where that is, it's a country in Southeast Asia. It's so peaceful, Barack Obama spent his childhood there. It's so beautiful, Donald Trump goes there to play golf. And it's so far away, Joe Biden probably won't survive the trip. No? Okay, here's another joke for you guys. Now, there's one good news. When I moved to New York, there's one good news about Indonesia in New York. Good news is, business in New York likes to hire Indonesian. They say it's because Indonesian don't talk back. It's true. We talk behind your back. That's what we do. Now, I don't do a lot of impressions, but here's some of them. Here's my impression of an Indonesian working hard, okay? Here's my impression of an Indonesian working hard. Here we go. Thank you. Thank you very much. I work hard for that joke. Here's my impression of an Indonesian taking a break. People, Americans think that Indonesia is some obscure country, right? So I have to explain to them all the time. Every time I do stand-up, I have to explain to them, Indonesia is not some obscure country. It's a huge country. 4th biggest population in the world. The size of Indonesia is pretty similar to the size of the US, I think. But the difference is people in Indonesia are scattered in 17,000 islands. Every island has different languages. Some islands have 4 to 5 languages, right? Different culture. And Americans always ask me the same question, wow, how did your government unite all that? And my answer is always the same. They didn't. We fight against each other all the time. So I moved to New York with my wife and 2 kids. We live in Queens now. Make some noise if you've been to New York. Thank you. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. So I moved to New York. I live in Queens. We all saw something in Queens that we don't usually see in Jakarta, right? This is a different world, different environment. We see something that is so cute, excites us all the time. I'm talking about squirrels. We don't have a lot of squirrels in Jakarta. Do you know what we have, sir, in Jakarta? Poverty. That's what we have. Now, now, when we move, politically incorrect, Panji. Now, when we moved to New York, everybody's excited about squirrels. First month in New York, we were like, oh my God, everybody shut up. Look, there's a squirrel. It's so cute. He's so cute. We love squirrels. 3 years in, now I think squirrels are just rats with better tails. Do you know what I mean? They're just rats with better looking tails. I think we would treat rats differently if it has squirrel tails. I think tails for rodent is like sneakers for people. I mean, you can look like a homeless person from your head to your ankle, but if we're wearing Jordans, I'd be like, nice. Life is tough in New York. Very, very tough. Because I have different career. Here, I'm a superstar. There, I'm practically nobody because I have to start from scratch. I do open mics all the time. Here's how you can sense the difference between my career here in Indonesia and my career in New York. Just about a month ago, less than a month ago, I did my 10th stand-up comedy special in front of 10,000 people, which was the biggest comedy show in the history of Southeast Asia. 10,000 people. But it doesn't really matter. I flew back to New York. I did a gig in front of 4 people. There were 10 comedians. We have them surrounded. If we robbed those people, probably we would have made money, but we didn't. It's so weird. It wasn't like 4 people coming out to watch 10 comedians. It's more like 10 comedians going on stage, looking at these 4 people. Are you guys lost or something? Do you want to watch Hamilton instead or something? Have you guys heard about the 10,000 hour? Do you know what this is? The 10,000 hour. If you're unfamiliar with the concept, 10,000 hour is a principle that if you want to be a master at something, you do that thing for over 10,000 hours. Putting in the work, believing in the process. And I believe in that as well. I applied it to my life. Because I have been married since 2006, and I'm pretty sure by now, I'm a master in pissing my wife off. She's always upset with me all the time, so I don't know. I don't know what I did. She wakes up already upset with me. I'm a master in pissing my wife off. We argue every day, me and my wife, every single day. To a point where I'm just looking for excuses to go out of the house. I used to look at a homeless person, and I'd be like, that has to be a crackhead. Now I look at a homeless person, I'm like, that has to be a husband. Yeah, wants to stay in the great outdoors, doesn't want to go home and argue with his wife. Now, I have a secret that I don't think a lot of people here in Indonesia know. The secret is about how Indonesian people treat each other in New York City. Indonesians that have been to New York, make some noise. Let me hear you out. Relax. You might know what I'm talking about. Now, the secret is Indonesians in New York hate each other. Caught you off guard, didn't I? Indonesians in New York, they hate each other. We hate each other. Let me tell you why. As you can imagine, there's not a lot of Indonesian in New York. There's a lot of Malaysian, there's a lot of Singaporean, a lot of people from Thailand. Not a lot of people from Indonesia. It's just so few. Because to be in New York is such a huge achievement. It's so hard. It's expensive. It's far away. It's a lot of Indonesians' dream to be in New York. Now, imagine an Indonesian working hard, have the money to fly to New York, 27-hour flight, standing in Central Park, or maybe standing in Times Square, and he was like, oh my God, I'm in New York, my dream come true. And then he hears, foto-foto sebelah sini. Why is there another Indonesian in my dream come true? My dream come true, and there's another Indonesian in my dream come true. This is supposed to be my moment. And if the Indonesian goes to the other Indonesian, hello, dari Indonesia ya? I'm sorry, I'm Filipino. He still walks away. Life is very tough. New York is a very scary city. It's scary. Everybody's mad all the time. Everybody's upset. I remember I was doing an open mic, and I was caught in between 2 comedians arguing, right? They were huge comedian. I was stuck in between, and I was nervous because I don't know how to fight. And I'm stuck in the middle of a conflict here. And they're trying to throw punches at each other, and a fellow comedian of mine took a photo of me. And then after the conflict, the guy was like, yo, I took a photo of you. You look scared. I'm like, I was scared. Check it out. Your face turned white. I look at the photo. My face did turn white. I was so white, I was ready to tell people to go back to their country. No? Okay, I'm sorry, white people. There are white people in the crowd. Here's another joke for you. I don't know. I planned this, but I don't know if it lands or not. So as you know, my wife and my 2 kids, we moved to New York. The issue for me and my wife is school shooting, right? Coming from Indonesia, in the US, school shooting happens a lot of the time, almost every year. My wife is worried, what if school shooting happens in one of our kids' school? I'm worried, what if the school shooter turns out to be one of our kids? Okay, let's just move to another joke. Too dark for you guys, okay. I was told to be spicy on stage. I guess maybe it meant I'm supposed to dance or something. All right. So, there is a stereotype about Indonesian. I don't know if you know this. Do you know the stereotype about Indonesian people that American have? Yell it out. What is the stereotype about Indonesian people abroad? What was that? Hate? What was that? Spice tolerant? That's true, but I wasn't talking about that. There's a stereotype about Indonesian people, and the stereotype is that Indonesians are lazy. Do we agree, Indonesian people in the room? Well, maybe I should be asking your boss, but there's a stereotype about Indonesian people, and the stereotype is that we're lazy. And I'm in New York trying to set the record straight. Indonesians, we're not lazy. We're just not accustomed to work hard. Listen, let me explain. It's not the same. People think we're lazy. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not lazy. We're Indonesian. We're not accustomed to work hard. They don't understand what it is to live here in this Southeast Asia land. It's easy. Life is easy here, right? Because not working hard is actually in our DNA. It's generational. Since the days of hunters and gatherers, Indonesians never have to work hard because Indonesia, just like a lot of country in Southeast Asia, Indonesia is a tropical country. So we don't have deadlines like the winter to hunt and gather food. There's always tomorrow. There's always the next day. That's why one of the most famous saying in Indonesia is, kalau bisa besok, kenapa harus hari ini? Which means, in English, if you can do it tomorrow, why do it today? And every time I tell that joke in New York, I look at these faces. They're starting to ponder about something. They'd be like, and I know what they're thinking. They're thinking, I might be Indonesian myself. That's it for me. Thank you very much. It is such an honor. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Give a round of applause once again for Panji Pragiwaksono. Yes, and you know what they say, one of the best shared experiences is through laughter. So thank you once again, Panji, for sharing that wonderful experience with us. Give a round of applause once again, ladies and gentlemen. And in this moment, we also would like to give a very, very high appreciation and, of course, gratitude to Foreign Minister Si Hasak. Please give her an applause, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you, Your Excellency, for your attendance and, of course, your participation. And it believes that in this moment, ladies and gentlemen, at the ASEAN for the People's Conference 2025, it is a great moment for us to come together, to collaborate, and of course, build a better ASEAN. So once again, give a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for His Excellency Si Hasak Pungget Gao for attending and taking the time and sharing his values, of course, insights with us at AFPC 2025. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency Si Hasak Punggetkau, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Thailand, will continue to his next agenda. Please give a round of applause once again as a sign of our appreciation. Thank you, Your Excellency, for sharing with us your values and your insights for us, the people of ASEAN. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated because next we have a very, very interesting and exciting announcement because we will award the winners of the Reels competition. Can I have a big round of applause for those who participated and, of course, sharing your experiences at AFPC 2025? All right. Over the past 2 days, each and every one of you have shared your creativity and, of course, your passion and document your experiences at AFPC 2025, especially through short reels. And the response our committee have received were overwhelming. And today, we are proud to announce the jury's decision out of the best of the best. So therefore, without further ado, I will announce the top 3 winners of the Reels competition. And the winners will receive Huawei Band 10 as the prizes. Once your name is called, we would like to have you come up onto the stage to receive your awards. So, without further ado, congratulations to FPCI Chapter Unsika, Gracia. Congratulations, Gracia. Please come up on stage. And next, for our second winner is FPCI Chapter Universitas Indonesia, Keisha Hairunisa. Keisha Hairunisa. Yes, please come up on stage. Congratulations. And number 3 is FPCI Chapter Universitas Pasundan, Lulita Sauman. Lulita Sauman, can I see a raise of hand? Yes, congratulations. Please come up on stage. Once again, give a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for the top 3 winners of the Reels competition. And as mentioned before, these winners will receive Huawei Band 10. Yes. And we will have an awarding session. Therefore, we would like to invite up onto the stage Senior Fellow for AFPC, His Excellency Bapak Sumadi Broto Diningrat, to please come up onto the stage to award the prizes to the winners of the top 3 of the Reels competition. Bapak, may you do the honor? Yes. Congratulations, give a round of applause once again, ladies and gentlemen. Bringing home prizes of Huawei Band 10, the top 3 winners of the Reels competition at AFPC 2025. And Baba, can we please, Your Excellency, to please stay on stage for our photo opportunity, a photo session with the winners of the top 3 Reels competition. Yes, once again, we have another camera. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay, with your thumbs up for doing a good job and winning the Reels competition at AFPC 2025. Thank you very much. And congratulations once again. You may return to your seats. Thank you. Okay, and now is the session for all winners, because next we also have an award for another set of competition where, of course, the creativity that we have seen throughout the past 2 days is a reminder for each and every one of us of how powerful people's voices can be in bringing ASEAN closer to its citizens. So therefore, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to another very special recognition, which is the award for the most active civil society organization at AFPC 2025. And this award is dedicated to the CSO that has shown outstanding participation by the public and the most visited booth at AFPC, showing the most energy and engagement throughout the conference, which truly embodies the spirit of a people-centered ASEAN. And to announce, they will also be bringing home prizes. 3 runner-ups will receive Huawei FreeBuds SE2. The third prize winner will receive Huawei FreeBuds SE2. And the second prize winner will receive Huawei Band 10. And last but not least, the first prize winner will receive the Huawei MatePad SE11. So therefore, CSOs, be ready. Once your name is called, please come up on stage to receive your award. For the runner-up category, the 3 runner-ups are Social and Economic Research Initiative, Malaysia. And for our next runner-up is Stratse, Singapore. And for our next runner-up is Gamlang Chai from Laos. Please give your applause for the runner-ups. We have Social and Economic Research Initiative from Malaysia, Stratse, Singapore, and Gamlang Chai, Laos. Please come up onto the stage to prepare to receive your awards. Okay, for our runner-ups, once again, from Stratse, Singapore, Gamlang Chai, Laos, and Social and Economic Research Initiative, Malaysia. Please come up on stage. Either way, left or right of the stage will do. And we have one more. Where is our next runner-up? Let's get to know the ones on stage. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Sinatra. I'm editor at Stratse.
From Stratse, Singapore. What about you?
Hi, I'm Vaishnavi. I'm a program manager from Surrey.
All right, that means we have Malaysia with Social and Economic Research Initiative, and then we have Stratse from Singapore. That means we have one more to come up on stage, Gamlang Chai from Laos. All right, once again, congratulations, and now we proceed to hand over the prize. Coming home with a Huawei Band 10. Please give a round of applause once again, ladies and gentlemen. And please come to the center of the stage to take a picture with your prizes. Once again, congratulations. All right, and yes, representing Gamlang Chai from Laos, please join with the other runner-ups for this session, for this category. Yes, here they are, the runner-ups of the most active civil society organization at AFPC 2025. Once again, congratulations, and you may now return to your seats. Congratulations to the runner-ups. You may now return to your seats. Of course, bringing home the prizes, but there are still more prizes to be won by the CSOs. Therefore, the first, second, and third place of the most active civil society organization goes to third place. Congratulations to ISP Myanmar. Congratulations. Please, a representative, you may come up on stage to receive the award. And next, and second place, the Association of Teacher Education Network Philippines. And last but not least, first place goes to Catalyst for Change Vietnam. Congratulations to all the winners. You may come up on stage to receive your award. And to present the award, we would like to kindly invite onto the stage His Excellency Najib Rifat Kusuma to please come up on stage to present the award to our top 3 winners for the most active civil society organization at AFPC 2025. And yes, we have the winners in 3rd place, ISP Myanmar, 2nd place, Association of Teacher Education Network Philippines, and of course, 1st place, we'd like to congratulate Catalyst for Change Vietnam. Please come up on stage. Yes. Your Excellency, please remain on stage because we have just given the 2nd place award, and now this is the 1st place winner. Congratulations to Catalyst for Change from Vietnam. Give her an applause. The most active civil society organization at AFPC 2025. Thank you very much, and once again, congratulations for being the most active, and especially congratulations once again for the prize. And now, ladies and gentlemen, after we have joined in for a laughter of stand-ups, keynote discussions, and of course, awards and prizes that have been won, on behalf of FPCI, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you who have been with us for the past 2 days. Not only for those of you from Jakarta, but especially friends who have traveled far and wide from different cities, from different countries, all across the border to be part of this gathering. Your presence is proof that ASEAN's spirit is alive. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy the following video consisting of the highlights of this 2-day conference.
I'm feeling amazing. The energy is unbelievable. It's raw energy from the people, just the way we like it. ASEAN means my neighborhood, my home, my market, my future, my safe place, and my family.
amazing to be here.
Since this is the last day, it's a little bit sad.
ASEAN to me is home. That's where we live, side by side in harmony.
For me, ASEAN means collaboration. I believe that together we will be stronger.
Once again, give it up for ASEAN for the People's Conference 2025. Yes, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, your enthusiasm, your voices, and your presence has been a true proof that ASEAN spirit is alive and that ASEAN can truly be a people-centered community. So once again, give a round of applause for each and every one of us here for this past 2 days. And of course, AFPC 2025 will not be made possible without the support of our sponsors. From Global Citizen, Golden Horse Digital Investment Bank, Australia Mission to ASEAN, ASEAN Australia Center, World, Pusat Studi Asia Tenggara Profesor Hashim Jalal Center for Southeast Asia Studies, Yayasan Tahia, SCG. And our in-kind sponsors, Huawei Indonesia, Grab Indonesia, Prima, Teh Botol Sosro. And our 116 civil society organization partners from all over 11 countries of Southeast Asia who have flown all the way here to Jakarta to be with us here today. Thank you to our CSO partners. Please give a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, our media partners as well, katadata.co.id, Rakyat Merdeka, rm.id, Text from IR, The Conversations Indonesia, Unexplained, BTV, Berita Satu, InvestorDaily.id, JakartaGlobe.id, Metro TV, MetroTVNews.com, Bisnis Indonesia, Bisnis.com, Data Indonesia, Liputan6.com, Merdeka.com, CNN Indonesia, Kompas.com, Kompas TV, Tribunews.com, Republika, Tirto.id, Kok Bisa, Sipaling HI Media, and the Southeast Asia Desk. Once again, we thank you to our media partners. And now, ladies and gentlemen, as we officially conclude the ASEAN for the People's Conference 2025, we would like to once again thank each and every one of you to being part of this historic gathering. Over the past 2 days, and of course throughout the discussion, you have brought life, energy, and a true meaning to the idea of a people-centered ASEAN. To our international friends who have traveled here to Jakarta, we wish you safe travels back home to your home countries, and we hope to see you again at the future FPCI events as we continue to keep ASEAN spirit alive. So, last but not least, to close in the voices of our beloved region, ladies and gentlemen, let us say thank you in all the languages of ASEAN. Terima kasih. Salamat po, kupunka, kamen, kopchoy, jaizu den bade, okun, obrigada, and thank you. Thank you each and every one of you. We wish you a very good evening and goodbye.